Saminiti namine Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Deshodarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Adaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karamo Tuma Bina Ke Daya Jagat Sansari Patita Pavana Hetu Tavaya Avatar Vasama Patita Prabhu Napai Veya Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Bolukana Kara Ami Bora Dukhi Akara Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bole Chaitanyamita Aha Sarup Sanatana Rupara Guna Vata Juga Sri Jivaha Prabhu Lokana Daya Karo Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamani Narottamada Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishnuvad Brahman Subari Prajagacharya Statara Shata Sisima Shalabhay Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya, His Divine Grace AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnuvad Brahman Subari Prajagacharya Statara Shata Sisima Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Vidas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। अलाचौरी मनोरत्नी धाम की जय। भगवद गीता जूम भक्तवृंद की जय। गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna, Mother Anna, Ina and Anastasia. Nice to see you both.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
lectures always.
Hare Krishna. And Somen Prabhu is here. Prahladananda Prabhu is also here. And Kalavecha Sridhar Prabhu also here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai Prabhu,
Krishna.
Dandavad.
Dhandavad. Good to see you all. Sarvatara Prabhu also. And Mother Madhavi. So we are going to discuss 7th chapter. Last Wednesday, we discussed about first sloka, and it was so important. I hope some of you take away something to contemplate. If you recall what I discussed last week, that this whole chapter discussed 3 things mostly. These are the key points you have to remember whole life, because you're going to read this chapter many times in your life. So 3 points are very important. One is knowledge of Krishna. If you really want to know about Krishna, this is a chapter, gives a very wonderful explanation. And we always discussed also how Krishna is great, majestic aspect. Krishna is also sweet, loving aspect. We need both. But there is a sequence, like if you focus on the greatness, majestic aspect, then you will evoke submission. You want to surrender. That is required first. And then your attraction to the sweetness will evoke affection for God. We need affection for God, but that doesn't mean it will happen without submission. Without submission, if you go for affection, the danger of sahajiyasm will develop. and you may go for 10 lives, you never can enter in Golok Vrindavan. You think like, what's wrong? Of course, you may not see 10 lives that you went by. Every life you think, oh, this is probably the life I just came to Krishna consciousness. How do you know? If I ask you, challenge you, how do you know last life you are not devotee? How do you know? So Prabhupada gave some hint. Prabhupada did say, just like Tamal Krishna Maharaj challenged Gaur Govinda Maharaj's sannyas. He said, he just joined 6 months, you're giving him sannyas. He should go through some advanced stage. Prabhupada says he already went through last life. What some of you just started, he already went through, finished. So Prabhupada could detect by their attitude, by their character. Natural attraction is there for Krishna or Krishna consciousness. Means they, last life they went through some. So this chapter discusses 3 things. One is knowledge of Krishna. Second is process of attaining knowledge. And third is end result of such attainment. This is very important. Before end of the class, so Kalavecha Sridhar Prabhu, can you just mute, please? Thank you. We hear some sounds. So this is very nice. So 3 points discussed in this chapter, chapter 7. One was knowledge of Krishna. Second is process of attaining the knowledge. In other words, how do you know what you know? And then what will be the result after you obtain this knowledge? So this is very nice, no? This is very nice. So you have 3 goals. Before we begin, we are only starting from text 2. Last week we did 1. And also Prabhupada talks about that Bhagavad Gita is a graduate level of knowledge. Now, Bhagavatam is graduate, postgraduate, Prabhupada says, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is doctorate level of knowledge. So if you want to give mundane, no, I don't want to give it. Just leave it like that. Bhagavad Gita is a graduate level of knowledge. Bhagavatam is postgraduate, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is doctorate level of knowledge. Now again, the question comes is, what does it mean? If Sri Krishna is telling there is nothing more than to be known. First sloka we had last week. I'm just refreshing few minutes, then we'll start. That if there's nothing more than to be known, how can we say that Bhagavatam is higher knowledge? If you look at the translation of the first sloka, that's what it means. There is no higher. It's complete. So why there is a question of Bhagavatam is higher knowledge and Chaitanya Charitamrita even more higher? Actually, there is a progression which can be classified as Gita talks about. Now these 3 things also, you must write it down in your memory. Bhagavad Gita talks about Krishna's identity. Bhagavatam talks about Krishna's activities. And Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about Krishna's mentality. So in one sense, they are for the same person, but they are not same. One is identity, one is activities, one is mentality. That means Bhagavad Gita helps in understanding who is Krishna, who is God. Is the absolute truth a person or is impersonal? If somebody asks you, how do you prove something is person or impersonal? What's the difference? So simple as this. Person means I can think. God is thinking. He has a thinking ability. God is aware of everything, omniscient. God has a feeling. You cannot say this for an impersonal. You cannot say the world is thinking. Can you say in your house, oh, this curtain doesn't have an intelligence? Can you say that? I mean, you can say it, but does it make any sense if I tell you, Mother Ina, your curtain has no intelligence? What did you understand? Doesn't make any sense, does it? If I tell you that your curtain on the window doesn't have any intelligence, what did you get? Really nothing. You're like, what are you talking about? Curtain and intelligent? Why is this? So when we talk about personal, God is a person. Person means his ability to think. He thinks just like you think because you are a person. Imperson does not think. So the absence, in other words, when we say about God as a conscious being, means he's a being, not consciousness. Don't fall for it. Very subtle. I was interviewing a minister, and at the end of the conclusion was that prison minister says, well, God is energy. I said, that's incomplete because energy is dependent. I have energy, but energy depends on me, my energy. So when you say God is energy, consciousness, then you are actually limiting, means it's subordinate. I say, how can you say that? I said, that's how it is. If you think the understanding, because they talk about spirit, but they don't talk about personality so much. Many religion is like this in this world. They talk about God is spirit, is spiritual, transcendental, but they don't talk about personality. That's why Prabhupada called Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. Very clear, very demonstrative. Okay, with that note, let us begin today's chapter. It's very exciting, this chapter. We discuss the first sloka, that Maya Ashakta Manapartha Jogam Junjam Madashraya Asamsaya Samagramam Jatagesshashitasrinu. So before we begin, let us fold our hand and chant 3 times and evoke the mercy of the Lord. All together. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nasta Prayesu Abhadresu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Makankarati Vachalam Pangu Langayate Girim Jat Kripatamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Paramananda Madhavam. And one more prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Simate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschat Deshatarine Vancha Kalpataru Veshya Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Nama Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So anyone would like to read the text 2? Today we are starting from text 2, the Sanskrit and the synonyms and translation and purport. Who would like to read? Anyone volunteer? No? How about you, Mother Anastasia or Somin Prabhu? Anyone?
I don't mind to read again.
Okay, go ahead.
Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyame sheshataha yagyatva neha bhuyon yaj gyatavyam avashishyate. Jnanam, phenomenal knowledge, te, unto you, aham, I, sa, with, vijnanam, numinous knowledge, idam, this, vikshyami, shall explain, asheshataha, in full, yat, which, gyatva, knowing, na, not, iha, in this world, huyaha, further, anyat, anything more, gyatavyam, knowable, avashishyate, remains. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above-mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession, directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes and the only object of meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.3 say, Kasminu bhagavo vigyate sarvam idam vigyatam bhuvatiti.
Very good. So this verse, Jnanam, phenomenal knowledge. Very nice. Krishna says, now I shall declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. Now, Jnanam te hamsa vijnanam, knowledge and realization both together. This is a very nice. Jnana and Vijnana are referred at various places in Bhagavad Gita. 8.6, many other verses all over. Krishna can remind you that similar word is mentioned. This combination together in 6th chapter, we say Jnana Vijnana coming together once. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. I love that verse a lot. That's why I remember now. Before that, this combination together is also talked about in the section where Sri Krishna talked about how last is destroyer of knowledge. That's right. And realization, 341. Now it will also come in 9th chapter, 9.1, the first one. Idam te tu guyamam. Sri Krishna has and will talk about in several places, everywhere, meaning is not same, although there will be similarly in sense of usage. So generally, Gyan refers to what? Theoretical. This person knows, this person has a lot of knowledge, you think. Vigyan refers realization. Or you can say transformational knowledge. Now, how does it happen? You say, if you offer the food to God, then it spiritualizes with the proper mantra and your intention, attention through that connection, it will become spiritualized. So when you apply that, cook that food and offer it, then that knowledge, you applied it, then it becomes Vigyan. I hope everybody got that. Gyan does not become Vigyan without application, without applying in yourself. So Srila Prabhupada used to say slightly different. Gyanam, phenomenal knowledge, Vigyanam, numinous knowledge. Now, what is phenomena and what is numina? You may be thinking, or maybe you are already aware of it. These are actually very philosophical terms. And to understand these terms, we have to recognize that philosophy itself is search for deeper reality, beyond the normal. What is normal perception? So phenomena refers to things as it appears to us. And noumena refers to things as they actually are, independent of our sense perception. Now, what is the difference between these two? Well, one of the fundamental insight while studying spiritual knowledge is that not only spiritual knowledge, but any methodology in serious way, one of the point which comes up is things are deeper than what they appear to be. Reality is not as it appears to our eyes. I'm sure you all can relate that in your experience. So even in the Western intellectual history, as well as in the Vedic history, the idea is always that way things appear, the way things are actually there is difference. Now the question is, we perceive the world by our senses. If we put aside our senses, then how we can know these things? You may doubt, or you may think about it as they are. So this question also present in Western philosophy. Yes, there is something called empiricism and rationalism. We use this in America when we talk. So empiricism refers to direct perception, empirical knowledge. And we say rationalism refers to knowledge through reasoning. And among these two ways of knowledge, there is a conflict. So empiricism is, in Sanskrit, we call prataksha. Prataksha. Prataksha, I can see you, so I believe you exist. One teacher was telling this to the student in school, said, you believe only when you see through the senses. So do you see God? No, so the God doesn't exist. And the student, it's a nice devotee, very nice, young, small boy. He said, sir, I don't see your intelligence. Should I assume you don't have intelligence? So teacher understood that this is not a good metaphor to understand God. So prataksha, yes, direct perception, we don't believe, accept for God realization. And rationalism is anuman. Now, when Lord Chaitanya was lying down in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was saying, I see this is 24-year-old a 24-year young sannyasi. And Gopinath Acharya says, no, he is the absolute truth. All pervasive, omnipotent, omniscient. So their argument went on, and then Gopinath Acharya says, Anuman, inference is not the way to perceive God. Very nice. If you know that pastime, Madhya-lila, chapter 6, very nice discussion, very healthy in the intelligence. So science started originally from empiric to rational, that is empirical. That Newton, Isaac Newton, he observed fruit falling. You all know that story, I'm sure. He saw a fruit fall. Now, most of the people who observe fruit falling will just eat it and forget about the whole thing. But of course, Newton did not eat the fruit. He was thinking about it. Whole thing. Good. That fruit fell down when I was there. But a thinker like Newton thought, why does this fruit fall down? After that, one moves to rational. Can you relate to that? Rationality means one tries to come up with a logical framework of conceptual understanding, which makes sense of the world around us. That's why Krishna here, he used Gyanam teham so vijnanam. So means as the things are, and vijnanam as the things actually are. That would roughly correlate with Western rationalistic idea that actually beyond the things appear, there is a framework which we need to understand. So in our tradition also, different acharya, different teacher in our Guru Parampara, disciplic succession, gives a different meaning of Gyan and Vigyan. Now, the famous one is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that Prabhupada loves a lot. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Gyan refers to opulent aspect of God. A God is everywhere. This is a creation of God. Wherever you see astonishing things, those are the power of God. You can see the presence of God. These are kind of, he talks about Gyan, the knowledge. And then Vigyan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur refers to sweetness, greatness of God and the sweetness of God. Now, so the important, Sri Krishna is referring that there are two aspects of this knowledge. And Krishna told to Arjuna, I will give you both. Idam te what is the word? Bakshami. Idam te bakshami asheshataha. Asheshataha, that means I will hold nothing back from you. That's very nice. Krishna doesn't want to hold anything back. He wants to reveal everything to Arjuna. And he says, Jad Getta. Jad Getta Neha Bhuya Naj. Having acquired this knowledge, Gettavan Avashishit, nothing will remain to be known. This is quite bold claim, isn't it, for Krishna? But he's God, he can do that. Having acquired this knowledge, there is nothing remain for you to know. Wow, if you look at that word, Gettadbham Avashishyate. Very nice. So having acquired this knowledge, there is nothing remain for you to know. How could anyone make such claim? You may think like, wow, how bold statement. There is nothing more to be known. Actually, this claim is based on the understanding that everything is spiritual reality. When it comes from Sri Krishna, it is spiritual. When we know the essential principle, we know everything is the sense of knowing the principles. The details are endless and details can never be known. we can contrast this statement in Bhagavad Gita, that there is nothing else to be known, with Sri Krishna himself telling in the 10th chapter while describing his vibhuti. Sri Krishna tells that I will tell you only sample of my glories or opulence, because my glories are endless. And Arjuna says, not even demigod or demons, nobody knows Krishna. Nobody knows his glories in full. They may know little bit. So when both Arjuna and Sri Krishna has said that Sri Krishna's glories are not entirely knowable by anyone, then what Krishna means when he says that he will know everything, nothing left, this he is talking about principles, not about details. I hope you got that point. So generally the Upanishad talks about Tattatraya. Tattatraya are three fundamental truths. What three fundamental truths? Jiva, living entity; Jagat, the universe; Jagadish, and the controller of universe. Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadish. These are called Tattatraya. Consciousness, material nature, ultimate causative principle, or absolute truth, you can say. So, Sri Krishna is saying, as far as principles are concerned, you will know completely, and there will be nothing more for you to be known. But in details, the amount of knowledge is endless. So, Gattadbham avashishyate, there is nothing more to be known. We also mention in Bhagavad Gita, beginning of today's class, I mentioned the level of knowledge. Bhagavatam is what? Postgraduate, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is doctorate level of knowledge. You remember in the beginning I mentioned. Now if you think, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, I was looking at his commentary, very interesting. He says Jnana means the opulence and Vijnana means the sweet. And both together, Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. This is very nice how Krishna put this. Jnana Vijnana Sahitam means opulence and sweet together. So the words can have a different meaning. Madhurja Gyan is not a Madhurja Rasa Gyan. Madhurja Rasa is specific conjugal rasa. Madhurja Gyan refers to Sri Krishna's sweetness in contrast to his greatness. I hope you understand. For an example, as a Varahadev, Krishna lifted up the whole planet on his tusk, just like this, like a little boar with a tusk, lift up a ball. He picked up the whole planet on his tusk. That is opulence, omnipotent. But then sweetness is like Mother Joshoda's love makes Krishna get scared of climbing down from the bed. He thinks it's like a very high, the bed. It's only maybe 6 inches. And he started crying, "Mommy, mommy." And Mother Joshoda ran. So one is opulence, that he picked up the whole planet as if nothing, just like this from the water where the Hiranyaksha throw it. But out of sweetness, that he was afraid to climb down from the bed by himself. Mother Joshoda had to come to drop him. So also many examples you can think. Sri Krishna tied up by Mother Joshoda's is also sweetness. So Krishna defeated by Gopas in intellectual fight is also Madhurja Ras. Many examples like that. Now question is, you may say, how is this Bhagavad Gita complete? Asamshaya samagrammam, that complete knowledge will be here. How? How Bhagavad Gita is complete? So I'm going to give you a little clue from this commentary that I got. Complete principles are given, complete details can never be given. Everybody got it? Complete principle can be given, but complete details not possible, because it's unlimited. Just like one group of philosophers said, if infinite reveals to the finite, then he's not infinite. And Prabhupada counter, he said, if infinite cannot reveal to the finite, then he's not infinite. And these Western professors like, wow, that's very powerful. We never thought that. So this is very sweet. Yes, Krishna is unlimited. But what kind of unlimited if he cannot reveal to a limited person like us? Yes, he can. That's what his infinite power is. So like that. So in this purport, I'm just going to touch this, what you wrote. The complete knowledge include knowledge of phenomenal, as Prabhupada says, phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. I like it. I like it really, the way Prabhupada put the sentence. What this means is, now it is interesting. We would think that transcendental knowledge means knowledge about transcendental world. Isn't like how you think? Okay, this is transcendental knowledge. So you immediately think, okay, this transcendental knowledge is about transcendental world or God. We think like this immediately. But if the knowledge is about material world, phenomenal world, how can it be called transcendental knowledge? That's the question. So transcendental knowledge doesn't mean only knowledge about transcendental world. It also means knowledge that directs our consciousness towards the transcendence. Very sweet, very nice. If we see this world and its connection with absolute truth, even that knowledge is called transcendental knowledge. For an example, now if I ask you a question, Prabhupada said, don't offer anything Krishna material, because Krishna is spiritual, he does not take material. So how can you offer anything to Krishna? Would somebody like to answer? Prabhupada said, don't offer anything material object to Krishna, because Krishna is spiritual, he does not take any material. So how can you offer anything to Krishna?
The book, Bhakti and Soul.
Bhakti and soul. Little more, Mother Bhaswati. Maybe you're trying to say, yeah.
Our love, which is not contaminated with any material opulences or anything, the pure love.
You can love, but you cannot offer something composed of material to a spiritual being. See, that's why these little dots, the connection. If we go to temple, you will see the pujari, before they enter into the temple, they go through a process. I'm sure you went to temple or you learned how to, before you touch the deity, you go through a process called purification. Bhuta Suddhi. In Sanskrit, it's called Bhuta Suddhi. Purification. Purification means you purify yourself. How do you purify yourself? By taking some water, which is also material. How do you purify? You may take some water from one hand to another hand and you say some. No, you connect it. My Lord, Naham Vipra, Nacha Narapati, Napi Vaishya, Nasudra, Naham Barni, Nacha Grihapati, Napanasto Jyotirva, Kintu Pradun Nikhila Paramananda Purna Mritabde, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalaya Dasa Dasam Das. You have to connect first to Krishna. My Lord, you are the owner, possessor of this world. Everything belongs to you for your pleasure. And if you want to chant the mantra, you can say, Ishavashyam idam sarvam jat kincha jagatam jagat. Ishavashyam idam sarvam. Everything in this world, phenomenal, is coming from you for your pleasure. When you think that way, it's already connecting to him. Then you can offer it to him. Your things I'm offering to you. But if you don't have that consciousness or knowledge behind, then it will not be purified. It's very subtle, but it's very significant. So you have to connect. Then you connect yourself. I'm not Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I'm not a sannyasi, Brahmacha, Vanaprastha, Grihastha. Who am I? I'm a servant of the Sri Krishna, who is the maintainer of the Brajavashis, Gopis, Radharani, like that. When you identify yourself, Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamala Dasa Dasa Anudasa. I'm a servant of my Guru Maharaj, who is a servant of Prabhupada, who is eternal servant of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. Okay, who are you? I'm a servant of the servant. Okay, you have a right to come inside. Then you go inside. Everybody got it? When you relate to someone in that domain, then your connection is established. That is called purification. In other words, connection with Krishna is purification. I'm going to ask this question end of the class. What is the purification before you offer something? You have to find the connection with Krishna. Okay, good. Any knowledge which connects us to Krishna is transcendental knowledge. Everybody got it? Any knowledge which will connect us to Krishna is transcendental knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada also quote this Mother Anastasia just read. Very nice. Mundaka Upanishad. Kasmin vo bhagavata vigyate sarvam idam vigyatam bhavanti. Bhavateti. That means once who knows the absolute truth, then everything else becomes known. Very sweet. Okay. We are going to text 3. Would somebody else like to read? No? Who would like to read? Somen Prabhu or Mother Bhashruti? Someone?
Yes, Prabhu, I can read.
Okay, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. Text 3, Manusyaram Sahasrasesu Kasid Yatati Siddhaye Yatatam Api Siddhanam Kasin Mam Yeti Tattavata. So Manusyanam of men, the synonyms are Sahasresu, out of many thousands, Kasit, someone, Yatati, endeavors, Siddhaye, for perfection, Yatatam, of those so endeavoring, Api, indeed, Siddhanam, of those who have achieved perfection, Kasit, someone, Mam, me, Vetti, does know, Tattavata, in fact. Translation, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and one of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So purport, there are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. And hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of self from matter. However, Krishna can only be known by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna, although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripada Sankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, but his followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda, then Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Sachidananda, Vigraha, Anadir, Adir, Govinda Sarva Karana, Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him, although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy. They cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulation, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shruti Sriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Bina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpataya Kalpate. So devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, Narada Pancharatra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbances in society. It is not possible for the Brahmin realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muhanti yat suraya mamtu vedana kasyana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says, and if one does know him, then Sa Mahatma Sudur Labha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, he cannot know Krishna as he is Tattavata. Even though one is great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna, in the cause of all causes, in his omnipotence and opulence, and in his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, Atha Sri Krishna Namadina Vavet Graham Indriya Seven Mukhe He Jihad Sayam Eva Sparuti Ada. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material sense, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Padma Purana.
Very good. This purport has so much spiritual assets. Thank you for reading that. Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit jatati siddhaye jatadam api siddhanam kaschit mam vetti tattataha. So Manushanam sahasreshu, shata means 100. Those who are language oriented or familiar with those words, you can grasp it very quick. Sahasra is 1,000. Shata means 100. So sometimes we say Sahasra Sata Koti Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Prabhuji Sahasra Koti Dandavat. Mataji Sahasra Koti. My gosh, has 100,000 times paying obeisance. We say it. So we may say Sahasra Sata Dandavat, but we may be lazy to offer even one Dandavat at physical level. But in our word, we may say Anantakoti Dandavat Prabhu, but I cannot do even one time physically. I'm not accusing anybody. But I see that sometimes. Very interesting. So there is no need of Shastra Satakoti Dandavat Pranam at lotus feet. You don't have to say that. Better you just do the honestly what you can say. Just one Dandavat, Dandavat Prabhu, Dandavat Mata. That's good. Or paying obeisances to you. Million Dandavat, million obeisances. Million. Cannot do 1 or 2 or 10. After that you get tired. After 100 probably you'll feel like sitting down. How are you paying a million? It's a good wish maybe. So Sri Krishna is amongst, saying here that among thousands of people, Kaschit Jatati Siddhaye, very few for perfection, Siddhaye. Jatadam api Siddhanam. Jatadam api Siddhanam means amongst those who endeavor for perfection. Kaschit mam vetti tattata. Very few actually knows me in truth. This is a beautiful verse. I quote this verse many times in my own mind. So in that sense, what Sri Krishna is telling over here, he is highlighting, he's highlighting what? The rarity of knowledge about him. Can you see that? If you say out of thousands who are endeavoring, one get perfection. Out of thousands of who got perfection, only one. What Krishna is telling you, why he is giving such a wonderful metaphor, means one who knows Krishna or one who has knowledge, all of you have knowledge about Krishna, is rare, very rare. You look around within 10 miles, see how many people knows like you. Maybe not. Go for 100 miles, you may not find another person. So you can see how rare it is to know about Krishna. Now you may say, why it is rare? Because first of all, most people are caught up in animalistic propensity. What is that? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Everybody more or less busy with these 4 things. And this is what animal does. Eating, sleeping, mating. You may say, well, what about saving for future? That's not really human. This is just a better animal, maybe you can say. little better animal stick. So there are materialist people who are caught up in that. Now that sounds like a heavy, insulting the human who are only busy of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Well, be honest. If you die right now, do you have a guarantee where you're going to go? So why not it is animal? Because animal don't care. They just eat, sleep, whatever they are doing, these four things. So that's why Krishna is giving that clarity. Try to understand. Don't be caught up in the material world. And unfortunately, there are religious people who are also caught up in these three things. Now, that most religious people practice religion for this, for dharma, artha, kama. And it's a fact. If you look at where are you going? Are you religious? Yes, I go to church. Why you go there? So I don't have to go to hell. I'll go to heaven. It's everything about me, myself. I have to go. I don't have to go to hell. I have to go to. What about serving God? No mention anywhere. It's not even in their consciousness. And there are millions, not millions, maybe billions. Specific category of dharma, artha, kama may not be there in one sense in Abrahamic religion, which is Judeo-Christian. These names may not be there, but conception is the same. That is God's blessing upon us, that when we get good things in life, what is good thing in life? Often people think about materialistic things in life. I got a good car, good house, good life. But what about after death, where I'm going? I don't know. Is that a blessing of God? I don't think so. So they misunderstand. Of course, in one sense, that is better than not going to God at all. So as long they come to God for even wrong reason, it's okay. It's better than not going at all. That's why Krishna used the word Sahasreshu. Among thousands of people, most people are caught up in eating, sleeping, defending. Now, when people are religious, people use religion for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending also. There is a popular chant. They say in India, Hanumanji tum to ho balabanachari mujhe de do ek nari. One Indian gentleman was telling me. So this is complete in karma kanda level. Of course, choosing an appropriate spouse, that's what it is essential for good life, even for spiritual seeker. Also, even if it is incompatible, it could be a problem. So for a devotee to pray for spiritually and materially compatible spouse is not wrong. I hope you don't misunderstand me. But the point is, most people's desire to get stuck at that level itself. So in Sanskrit, there is a word dharma patni. Why they call wife as a dharma patni? So the purpose is patni is for dharma. There is a spouse means for spiritual activity. There is a spouse so that one can follow religious path. But people think that dharma is for patni. Let only patni do dharma. That also I saw many houses. Wife does the puja in the house and take care of everything, and husband does the business and do whatever. He doesn't do any religious. So in program, ladies' attendance is more. You'll see. I notice even in the Zoom classes and others. It's a very practical. But ultimately, dharma artha kam should be practiced so that one can get moksha, apavarga. So that one can go beyond material things. So people of this conception of soulmate, The conception is reincarnation, is also included in movies now, in theater. You know, those movies, Matrix, all kinds of stuff. There they romanticize it, like there is a couple who cannot unite in one life, so they incarnate in next life, they unite in next life. This is how their romance is successful. It's like people goes on and on. I saw in village even, in next life, and then they go on. Oh, this person is your soulmate, not your soulmate. And they go on. They go to the astrologer, they find out. Now, most people, they use dharma also for artha or siddhaya. Siddhaya here, Krishna saying, refer to perfection for liberation in terms of attainment of transcendence. So very, very few people endeavor really for Krishna consciousness or transcendence. That's why Krishna used that word in this verse. Jatatam api siddhanam. Among those who endeavor for transcendence, kaschin mam vetti tattata. Few actually knows me. This is interesting, that even those trying for liberation, which itself is very few, but among them also they can have different conception. They can think Brahman is the absolute truth. They can think Paramatma is the absolute truth. But to understand Bhagavan as absolute truth in his beauty, glory, and his complete majesty and complete sweetness is very, very rare. That is called Kaschin Mam Vetti Tattata. Very few people know me in truth. So this is a very nice verse. Actually, Krishna is revealing. Mayavadi, Prabhupada is very hilarious the way he put it in it. He said Mayavadi calls this bhakti is for less intelligent people. They try to make a simplistic division of various paths, that karma is for hard-working people. And Ashtanga Yoga is for people who like to do austerity. Bhakti Yoga is for sentimental people. That's what Mayavadi thinks. And Jnana Yoga is for intellectual people, because that's what they do. Now, even those people who are not intellectual thinks of themselves as intellectual. They like to think about themselves. Oh, I'm very great. I'm a big scholar. Because they think like that. So what happens is, even someone do karma, they think karma yoga is for hard-working people. So I'm hardworking. Most people think I should do Jnana Yoga because I'm intellectual. And people look at devotees, oh, sentimentalist. Who wants to be sentimental? Even you, in your day-to-day language amongst the family member, when you don't like about another person, whether brother, sister, or whoever it is, you say, don't be sentimental. We use that word, don't we? Yeah, we say that. Come on, don't be sentimental. So when the impersonalists think, as Prabhupada said, they think the devotees are like sentimental. Ah, these people are sentimental. They even told Lord Chaitanya is a sentimentalist because he chant, dance. There's no seriousness, they think, in spiritual life. They're just having a fun, chanting, dancing, honoring prasadam. What is this? This is not serious. It's like easy life. No, it is not easy. It is the consciousness behind our action is what makes us devotee. So if it is easy, Prabhupada also give challenge. Why not they follow this? If you say goal is to reach peak of mountain and there is an easy path, there is a difficult path, why someone chooses difficult path? I like the way Prabhupada attacked indirectly. So everyone should choose the easy path, but people choose the other path because, as Srila Prabhupada said, bhakti is not easy. Krishna consciousness is not easy. So also then Prabhupada brought this sloka, Sruti, Sriti, Puranadi, Pancharatri, Viding Bina, Aikantike Harer Bhakti, Utpate Vahi Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literature like the Upanishad, Puranas, Narad, Pancharati is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. Very nice. Okay, I'll end here. You can create some questions also. One soul inspired is better than 1,000 soul impressed. Many nice question you can. And then we'll begin with text 4 next week. Yes, Param Karuna Prabhu, nice to see you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Our Guru
Yeah.
Prabhupada. So, Prabhuji, so very beautiful explanation. I have 3 questions. Let me start with the first one. When you say that you quoted that was Naham Vipru Nachanara Patir and Gopi Bharatu Padkamara Das Das Dasamu Das. And how should consider the standpoint of Mirabai and Eklavya at this point? Because they have no guru, but they still achieve the perfection.
They have guru, but maybe not proper way, just like Ekalabha with Dronacharya. If he didn't accept, then why he cut off his thumb as a dakshina, Guru Dakshina? So in one sense, maybe you can say he didn't get the perfection, but Guru actually protected him. Because his intention was also against the Pandavas. Because of his association. So he had a guru in that sense. He used to worship Dronacharya. Now you may say he did not accept him. Yes, but at the end, he accepted him. And then Dronacharya says, okay, then give your the Guru Dakshina. So from that angle, you can say he did the best thing. He obeyed Guru's instruction and gave his thumb off.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Second question, Prabhu, about the purification while doing the Achman. Why we do some mudras like Om Keshwaya Namaha Rishikeshwaya Padmanabhaya Damada Vasudeva? Like, what is the reason for doing that mantras?
As Prabhupada says in the purport, that anything connects with Krishna, especially Jiva Goswami Pad says in Kali Yuga, Jatra Sankirta Naiva, Sarva Sarthat. So as long you chant the name of the Lord, it will purify. Because pure name, Krishna's name is so powerful. So more we chant, that's why the compulsory names are given. And if no rituals given, probably they will not chant sometimes. They will just go inside the altar without chanting the names. So it's one of the good way to get the purification done by chanting the mantra.
Thank you. And third question, when you told that if someone is working hard, he likes to do Jnana Yoga, but please correct me if I am wrong, but if someone is working really hard, the easiest path is Bhakti Yoga, because fast purification happens when you work hard in Bhakti Yoga process. Am I correct or wrong?
I missed the last part. What did you say?
So when you told that when someone is a hard-working person, his inclination is more toward Jnana Yoga. But if I am not wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, that if someone is working hard, the easiest part is Bhakti Yoga, because when you work hard in Bhakti Yoga process, there is a very fast purification.
That is true. But what Prabhupada says, the Mayavadi calls that Bhakti Yoga is for less intelligent. So then he gave a explanation what they think. They are the one who exclaim, oh, Jnana Yoga is for the intellectual people. Now, even those people who are not intellectual think themselves as intellectual. They like to think about themselves, oh, I'm great. I'm a great scholar, because they think like this. So what happens is, even if someone do karma, they think karma yoga is for hardworking people. So I am hardworking. Most people think I should do Jnana Yoga because I am intellectual. But people look at bhaktas, that's why I mentioned that, as Prabhupada mentioned. They think they are sentimental. Who wants to be sentimental? This is a misconception they have.
Yes, Prabhu. But is it not that when you do Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, by default, you come to Ashtanga yoga, and then realize with Paramatma, and Nishkam, and then Jnana and the Paramatma realization, and then Bhakti yoga by default, even if they don't know?
Krishna actually did not recommend Jnana Yoga. He recommend Jagyartat Karmana Annatra Lokayam Karma Bandhana Tadartham Karma Konteya Mukta Sangha Samacharet. 3.9, Krishna told to Arjuna, even if you think you are qualified for Jnana Yoga, which is higher than Karma Yoga, but I suggest you do Karma Yoga, because Karma Yoga will purify the psychophysical nature. But Jnana Yoga, psychophysical nature, you are trying to escape from it. But in Karma Yoga, you are utilizing it and you get purified. And I don't want to be judgmental, but most of the devotee in our movement, they do Karma Yoga, beginning, most of them. Because they have a inclination. They want to get married, they want to make money, they want to do this, they want to do this. I went through like that too. And that's fine. But the purpose of Karma Yoga is to come to that pure bhakti. And they do. I see many devotees, they come out, they go through and purify their heart and they come. But Jnana Yoga, it gives you to, you can say, liberation stage, but karma impression that left over from previous life is not easily destroyed.
And by doing Karma yoga, it can destroy?
Yes. That's why that verse is said, Jaggartat karmana annatra lokayam karma bandhana. And Arjuna asked to Krishna, oh, will I become happy and will I get liberation? Say yes. Mukta sangha samachare. Even though Jnana Yoga is higher in the ladder, you are right, in the ladder it's higher, but the impression, some of the karma impression will not go away.
And that's why Arjuna is asking what is better in 5th chapter, number of ones, what is better, Karma yoga or Jnana? Then Krishna says, both are better, but Karma is better.
Yes, yes, Karma Yoga is better.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Nice to hear from you. Any takeaway?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, may I ask one more question, please?
Sure.
It is actually from the last session we had. You were mentioning that we need to believe in God and in ourselves at the same time. So could you kindly explain that, please?
You need to believe in God and believe in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You mean last week we discussed
Yeah.
that? Okay. Well, first of all, it makes sense. Who is the believer?
We are.
So that means you have to exist in order to maintain that belief. And as we reciprocate with Krishna, see, the bhakti process is reciprocation. More we reciprocate with Krishna, then through the reciprocation, experience will convince us. Just like you had a mother, and you strongly believe about your mother. If Mother Ina says, I give you $1 million for you to believe you never had a mother, will that be possible?
No.
No. Similar, why?
Because we know that there should be mother and father in order.
No, but that's true. That's a formula. But you have experience that you had a mother. You grew up with her. You had a reciprocation. She took care when you are sick, or she gave you, food. She cooked for you. She took care of you. You grow up with a strong belief. Similarly, in our reciprocation with Krishna, more we know Krishna, more we know about us. And more we reciprocate with Krishna, we know more about us. Wow, Krishna loves me. Wow, Krishna really attracting me. Actually, more we know Krishna, more we know us. And it's a fact, because we are part and parcel of him. But through reciprocation, we can see that.
I understand that if we more believe in Krishna, we can believe in, if we reciprocate more with Krishna and seeing him, appearing in our life through different situations, we have, our faith becomes stronger. But how do we know more about ourselves? I didn't understand that.
more you know about yourself, not without him. Because if a child want to know about him, he will know less on his own. But if the child is under guidance of mother or father or somebody caretaker, and mother will tell the child, oh, you are belong to this family, you live here. More we hear about Krishna, more we know Krishna, more actually we know ourselves. We belong to spiritual world, not here. I'm not a Russian, I'm not an American, I'm not a female or male. I belongs to Krishna. I want to go back and be with him eternally. So more we know him, actually more we know ourselves also. And there will be a time you will come to a point where you don't want to exist without his relationship, without reciprocation. That is called perfection. You will see, more you know about him, more you hear about him, actually indirectly you are bringing yourself out. The best of Anastasia you have to bring out from you through Krishna consciousness. At that time you will see there is nothing exists but him and you in that relationship. It's so sweet, so lovely. And hopefully you can get this in this life.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. And more practice, of course, the practice, the chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Bhagavatam, like that. So any takeaway? What are you taking away from today's? Anyone?
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Kalavecha Siddhar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dadabat.
Dandavad.
Can you make a question?
Wait a
It's
minute.
about,
In Peru it's cold?
yes, now we are at winter in Lima. It's not so
Winter.
cold, but something like 16 degrees centigrade.
In Alachua is hot. Okay. It's the opposite. Okay.
Yeah. Prabhu, I was listening about the Mayavadis. They say that we are actually, Bhakti yogis are very sentimental because maybe we accept things beyond our perception. We cannot make we cannot make a reason for every detail of our practicing, like Archavigraha or spiritual sky and other things. So can you please give some like a strong argument to deal with it?
We are not actually sentimentalists because we are not a form worshipper. We are substance worshipper. Substance. But they cannot explain. They also worship sometimes. They also meditate. They also do rituals. But they cannot explain the substance. Rather, we can explain the substance. If you really challenge with them, you can say, explain the substance that you practice, why you do things you do. But we can explain that we are holding the real substance, what we are practicing or worshipping, chanting is a person. But you don't have a clue about it. You're taking just for a, first of all, they struggle, they restrain their senses, they kind of like they try to get out of the matter by denying anything they come in contact. They say, this is not, this is not, this is not, neti neti, this is not, this is not. What is left after rejecting everything? What is left? Whatever is left, they think that is spirit. But we don't go by that. We say we are focusing on the substance now, but we cannot perceive the substance in our impure stage. But by the grace of God, we can go beyond the form, beyond the like a name or the deity, whatever it is. beyond the form, and we purify as we are transcending and transforming the situation, then we meet the substance and the form are same. But their pursuance, the form which has no substance, at the end, they reject that. That's bogus. Sounds very depressing. I really met someone. I said, that's very depressing. You're not capable of convincing me to practice this. And I think you are an intelligent man, but why are you following such an illusion? And I know he didn't argue anymore, and he just kind of like quiet. But problem is, even if you tell them or attack them, that doesn't mean they can become easily devotee. They will become devotee, because Prabhupada did say in a lecture, in the car also, he was driving, he says, nowadays a lot of Mayavadis are joining in the movement. Means in ISKCON we have some Mayavadi also, according to Prabhupada. He could detect. If you look at Prabhu 12.5, Bhagavad Gita, you look at it, 12.5, Krishna says, Klesha adhikatarastesham avyakta asakta chetasam. Avyakta hi gatir dukkha deham buddhir avapati. Krishna says that they will struggle, they really suffer. Why? Because they are attached to this avyakta. If you see a child and his mother is far distance, you tell that if a child gets scared or he needs some help, he ran to the mother. He's not thinking DNA testing, did mother is like real mother, is how do I know the mother will take care? He comes from experience and he will go for it. Our relationship with God is as simple as like that. If we are very simple-hearted, pure-hearted, we can revive our dormant love for Krishna, and everything will, all illusion will be disappearing, and we will get the substance in our tangible experience. But for them, they reject the phenomenal world. They struggle so hard, and they're trying to empirical, like a scrutinize, squeezing out some meaning of something which doesn't exist. And they're trying to like focus so hard, but at the end, they are disappointed. You know, biggest phenomenon is when you challenge them, okay, if the end is that you merging to an ocean of bliss. Now, if you don't exist, how do you know you are experiencing bogus or no bliss at all? Because you don't exist. You think you will merge. Who is experiencing? Who is the experiencer? You understand my logic?
Yes, yes.
Like if you say, okay, if ultimately you don't exist, then if you don't want to exist, then who is going to experience that this is the highest bliss? It's an illusion. That's why it says, Arujya Krichana Param Patanti Adha. Patanti Adha, they will fall down again. Why? Anadrita. Adrita means affection, adoring, loving. They don't express the love. Anadrita Jusmat Angraya. They did not adore the lotus feet of the Lord. It's very sad, but it is very contagious. Impersonalism is very contagious. And they are all over the world. In America, South America, wherever you are, they are everywhere. This misconception is everywhere. Thank you, Prabhu. That was a very nice question.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Pancha Kalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhave Vacha Patitanam Pavane Vaishnave Bho Namo Namo Srila Prabhupada